Good evening and welcome to the August 10th, 2022 Cedar Falls Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Karen, we'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call vote.
Okay, Chrisman?
Here.
Gribovich?
Here.
Hartley?
Here.
Holst?
Here.
Larson? Leeper?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Moser?
Here.
Saul?
Here.
One absent tonight.
Thank you, Karen. We have a quorum. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the July 27th meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, at this time, we're open for public comments. Any public comments for items not on the agenda? I see none, so we'll go to old business, and there's a zoning text amendment for planning and zoning review of site plans in the CD and DT district. Karen.
Okay, just a little bit background. I'm sure that most of you recall, but the City Council petitioned the Planning and Zoning Commission previously to consider options for reviewing site plans in the downtown character district. In March, the Planning and Zoning Commission considered various options for amending the code to have site plans reviewed at P&Z and approved by council. And what you gave us direction for at the time was that you were interested in reviewing site plans for new buildings in the Urban General 2, and the storefront frontages, so the main kind of core of downtown. So on May 25th, we brought you back some draft language. You looked at that and then confirmed that that was the direction that you had given us. You were comfortable with that language. So you set the public hearing for June 8th, and on June 8th, you held the public hearing, and then unanimously recommended approval of the proposed amendments. On June 20th, the City Council set a public hearing date on the ordinance that you sent to them, and they set that date for July 18th. July 18th, they held a public hearing, and the council discussed the amendments you had sent to them. And but they had some additional requests for some additional changes. So council approved a motion rather than to make a motion to approve the ordinance that you sent to them. They approved a motion to refer the ordinance back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for further revisions. So specifically, and I sent this in the memo, as I included the minutes of the discussion and also a link to the video in case you want to watch that discussion at council. So council petitions the Planning and Zoning Commission to consider amending the zoning ordinance to include a review of any site plan that would expand the floor plan or where residential is being added. And then it was given a reference to language in the existing code of section 26-196C2B. And I put this up on the screen to show you what that is. That is a section of the parking section, but I think the reference was related to some language that might be useful if you were so inclined to further amend the ordinance. So that section is to the reuse or renovation of an existing structure in which there is no gross floor area expansion and the use remains non-residential. So that was just given as sort of an example of some potential guidance there. So tonight, we're just recommending that the commission discuss the petition from the City Council and provide direction to staff for further amendments to the Downtown Character District Code related to their discussion.
All right, thank you, Karen. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. Again, this item is for discussion, really giving staff some feedback and direction. Karen, I have a first question is, what has changed since the last time that this commission voted unanimously on this item?
I don't know if anything's changed. I think there was just the council discussion, and I think there was a majority that felt like further review. They would like to see additional things reviewed through P&Z and council, and that was the direction that they gave.
Thank you.
So, my feeling is, it's always been, this has been the one part that was kind of like confusing to me, and I've never had a clear vision of what we should be doing. And I guess my feeling is, hey, if the council would like, further review of a more expansive review, or, these of site plans and things that weren't included in that, I think that's fine, and we ought to just do that. I mean, as a commission, our job is to basically bring this stuff to the public so the public can see it, and we review it. Goes, ultimately the council makes the final decision. And if it's helpful for the commission to review certain of these things, because the council would like to see that, I think that's just fine. So, I mean, my inclination would be, well, let's just, rewrite amendment, expand that out a little bit more, and just say these are the things that are gonna have to come to the commission before they go to the council. And, the disadvantage that we, discussed before was slowing the process down, and thinking that the new code is clear enough, that it can just be done administratively. But, with anything, I think these are maybe items that the council is viewing as being particularly more sensitive to the general public, and so I don't have a problem with having those come to the commission so they can basically, because what happens in the council is, they spend a lot less time on some of these items just because, they got a lot of things on their plate other than just planning and zoning items as well. So, I'm fine with amending it and having I know it maybe slows down the process and is not as efficient as maybe staff would like, it adds another layer of oversight. But, I think, if these things are important to the council, that the public get a good look at it, I think that, that's fine. And I'd be supportive of, adding those couple other items in there for planning and zoning review. So that's kind of where I come down on it.
I would disagree with that. I think that the code is thorough, and that was the intention of the code, so that, we could say, these are the expectations that we've set. If you're meeting those expectations, if you meet the code, then it should pass. And so I think, the point of our reviews was because we just wanted to confirm that that code was meeting our expectations. But we have, we are volunteers, and we have many other projects that I think the city would like to see move forward, that citizens would like to see move forward. And I think to add more and more reviews is, to me, this is just slowing down development of our community. And I would like to see the city council pass this zoning code so that we can start working on the rest of our town. Enough of these reviews of these small pieces of language. Let us move forward. If there are issues, it can come back. We have established that. We are able to review this code in the future, but let's give it a try. We voted unanimously that we felt these reviews were enough. Let's just move on from there.
Okay, other discussion?
I would agree with Marty. It's not gonna do us any good to say no if the council is, if that what's they're desiring, they're, bring it back to us. And in lieu of some of the discussion that the council had, I do have somewhat of an understanding as to why they're asking for that. So I would agree with Marty.
Any other thoughts? I guess the one thing that I hear, being in the construction industry, is that the process has been, there's been a real knock on Cedar Falls about the process being too complex in the past and taking too long for developments to happen, and for those things to not be clear in terms of what the direction and what I know about developers is they want to have, known kind of data and
Clarity.
facts and clarity. And those reviews oftentimes muddy these things up because there's other factors involved in terms of relationships or just, nuance and opinion. And I think this code is really written in a way that is trying to be clear to people about what kind of development can happen in our city and what can't, and to allow those things to move forward in an efficient manner, because time is money in that industry, and unknowns are really difficult to deal with. If the process takes 2 or 3 months, there's a lot of change and a lot of expense that goes into those kinds of things. So I get that it wouldn't be that much to add, but I guess I got to decide on the, I'm going to err on the side of development to kind of, let's tell them what we want to do and let's let them do it and kind of get out of the way.
I think one of the objections, though, from the city council is the fact that we still haven't really taken care of the parking issue, and the fact that if you're adding space to a building or adding residential, you are complicating the parking issue, and that still hasn't been fully addressed.
We haven't talked enough about parking.
But no, city council. No, but city council has talked, they still don't have it fully addressed, right? That's their concern.
Right.
So that, I think, is one of the reasons behind them asking us to be looking at if a building's going to be increasing their gross footprint, and a modification of a building is going to be increasing gross footprint and adding residential, that needs to be examined.
But the code says what the parking is. The code tells you if you build a building, if you change a building, these are the expectations for parking. So by us reviewing it, all we would be saying is, yep, you did that, because it is our expectation that our city planners will inform them if they have met those requirements for the code. So if we follow this code, which is what we have agreed to do, us reviewing it is just adding a step. It's just going over it again. We already said, follow the code.
Where's the ambiguity in the parking? Can you clarify that? Because
Well,
we have passed.
so they've been talking about, when we say shared parking, where is that shared parking? Is it 600 feet away, and whose driveway? You know, I mean, you just hear all those things. You still hear that.
But
It's
we've
still an issue.
spent the last
I
year
know.
going through this.
I'm not saying we have a problem with it. I'm saying
Yeah.
city council is having an issue with it.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
So what does the city council actually need? I mean, are we required to send something back, or can they actually just, they could conceivably, can't they just change it themselves directly? Or are they asking for just an advisement back from us, or do we need to have something specific code-wise we either accept or reject to send back? Or I'm a little
What's the
unclear on
process?
the
What's the
process, with the back and forth here.
So you sent them your recommendation before. That ordinance is still, could be valid. You can send them, they're giving you direction for further changes. So that is a specific petition from them. So you would need to formally vote on their petition, just like you would vote on a petition from a citizen that would bring forth a question or a request for a change to the ordinance. You would vote yes or no on that request. So I think the staff would prepare this ordinance amendment per council's direction. You would need to set a public hearing, and we'd hold a public hearing on that ordinance amendment, and you guys would vote yes or no on that amendment. If you vote yes on the amendment, that would go to council and would take a majority vote to approve that ordinance. If you vote no on that, then it triggers a supermajority vote of council. It takes 5 votes of council to vote on that amended portion if you vote no. So the original ordinance could still stand on the agenda if, for example, you said no on this request, it could go to council and then both ordinances would be there and could take a vote, I think, on either one.
Right.
I mean, I could double check with the city attorney, but I think that's, I think you still have an ordinance that you've recommended that they haven't voted on.
Yeah, that's kind of, okay.
Any other discussion? All right, so next steps are public hearing, and then we'll have a vote.
So, but the staff needs to kind of draft the.
We need to draft
Flesh out the,
Yeah.
what they're requesting and put it into a final written form that then we can
Yes.
vote
Yep.
up or down. and-
Yep.
Or can we say, no, we don't want you to do that, let's go back to the table? I'm asking you that question, yeah. They requested that we discuss and bring forth a different ordinance, is that right? With those changes.
Right. And
What if-
then decide whether you are supportive of that or not.
So if we're not supportive of that, what happens? They have to vote on the one that's there?
They could vote on both of the ideas. So you could send a negative recommendation on their motion to petition you for further changes. You could vote no. If you vote no, then it would trigger, for the amended ordinance, it would trigger a supermajority vote. If you vote yes, it would just take a majority. And then they would also probably, vote on the total package, because I think they didn't necessarily vote on what you sent before.
Okay.
But today is just discussion.
Yeah.
And you
Right,
have
just
to
have
host.
some idea
Right.
of the temperature of the commission and. But regardless, I think you have to act on their petition.
That's what I was trying to, wasn't clear to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to act tonight.
You don't have, there's nothing to vote on
Right.
tonight. We were just looking for some discussion and
Yep.
find out the,
Okay.
kind of what you guys were thinking.
Yeah. Any other discussion, or anyone want to share their opinions?
Who's to say that more things aren't going to come after this? I mean, I just feel like we've been doing this back and forth bit for quite a while, which is fine. I mean, I think it's fair and valid. I mean, we want this to be right, but how many more times are we going to have stuff come back to us? I just feel like we've put in a lot of work on all of this just to have it, to keep coming back. I just wish we could have some cohesiveness to be able to kind of move things forward, to Hannah's point, to be able to kind of move the city forward too.
Well, and noting that we were all appointed by the city council to do this work.
Right.
And this job.
Correct.
Correct, but I think this is the first time the city council has ever sent something back to us that I'm aware of, since I've been doing this.
So is it the snowball effect? We'll find out.
Well, and it is their role as city council members to make good decisions,
I agree,
wise
Leanne.
decisions for the city. So for us
I agree.
to have disdain for their decisions or their votes is not quite appropriate either, so.
I agree.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll discuss this further in the future. Okay, thank you, Karen. Any commission updates?
I don't have anything for you tonight.
A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, have a good night, everyone.